The lights go down, the screen lights up, and before your eyes, a story begins, and you're transported into another world. I've been in love with the movies since I was a little girl. When I was 24 years old, I decided to go for my dream of becoming a filmmaker. I left all of my friends, a job that I loved, and I went to film school. I have to say that it felt amazing to go after my dream like that. During my first month at film school, I turned 25 on September 25th. This guy at equipment checkout said, 25 on the 25th? This is your magical birthday. It's going to be your magical year. I'd never heard that before, but it sounded amazing. My magical birthday, my magical year, 25 on the 25th. It was my magical birthday, but not for the reasons you may think. This is me 2 months into film school. I'm obsessed with this footage because it actually captures something that would change everything. This is a moment when I started to lose control of my life. I just didn't know it yet. 1 month later, on Thanksgiving, I was coughing, and when I coughed, I put my hand on my throat for the first time. And that was when I felt it, a lump. It's the same lump that you can see here in this footage. It had been there for at least a month, if not longer. I'll never forget sitting in the doctor's office as he pushed on the lump, asking me if it hurt again and again. I kept saying no. I thought that was a good thing. But as he walked away, I could see that he wasn't happy with my answer. I said, "It's good if it doesn't hurt, right?" He said, "No, it's not always good if it doesn't hurt." By that following week, I found out that this was cancer, and it had spread. It was behind my lungs and around my heart. I had stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the doctors told me that I would be dead within a year if I didn't get treatment. And that's when it felt like I lost control of everything. My dream of becoming a filmmaker, that was gone. It was replaced with the goal of just surviving this next year. So I did what any filmmaker would do. I turned to the movies for comfort. I started renting all of these movies that had people with cancer in them. I just wanted to see a story of survival. But every movie I saw showed the person with cancer dying in the end. Not only had I lost my health in film school, but now I couldn't even see a story of survival to give me hope. That's when a light started to flicker in the darkness. What if I could make a documentary on myself? That way I could still learn about filmmaking and, hopefully, I could show a story of survival, the same story that I wanted to see. Before I knew it, I was directing my first film with a subject and director who may or may not make it to the end of the shoot. But I have to tell you that this gave me back some control. You see, I wasn't at the mercy of what was happening to me. I was taking back my story. For my first chemotherapy treatment, I asked some friends from film school to come to help film me. And it wasn't your average first treatment because I was the only person who showed up with a camera, tripod, and cameraman to get chemotherapy. They were a little surprised. But it took the focus off the cancer and the treatment and on to making a film.
You're both here at 8:45 in the morning.
Actually, I wasn't. I was late by half an hour. Sorry.
All right, Kevin, I wasn't going to say that on tape. Thank you. But they're sticking here with me while I'm doing my chemotherapy.
No problem.
Ooh, and here's the arm.
As a director, I want this film to give people hope. So when the time came for me to shave my head, what I envisioned was a scene out of G.I. Jane, where there is cool music playing in the background, and I was shaving my own head, and I was nothing but strong. What actually happened was a little bit different. I asked my brother to shave my head for me, and I did my very best to smile the entire time. But the director and me started to lose control of the scene when I saw myself for the first time in the mirror with no hair. It was the first time I was seeing myself as a cancer patient.
All right, you guys have done.
Want to leave your sideburns?
Yeah.
You want to get rid of them or leave them?
Get rid of them. Who leaves their sideburns?
Even when you're stumbling, even when you're crumbling, you will always hear my voice. Even when you're stumbling, even when you're crumbling, you will always have the choice.
That part of the footage, when my brother asked me if I wanted to keep my sideburns and made me laugh and put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I told you to make you laugh." That was a beautiful moment between a brother and a sister. You can't control every moment in life, but if you look hard enough, you can see the beauty in those difficult moments. Now, even though I had very little control over what was happening to me, I still looked for ways to grab back a little bit of control whenever I could. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit of a geek. So I would bring a 3-ring binder with me to every appointment I went to, and I'd have those little plastic page protectors in it. I'd ask the doctors and nurses for copies of everything. I had a copy of my treatment plan, copies of my blood work, copies of my test results. That way, I wasn't putting everything in someone else's hands. If someone was unsure, I had the answer. If someone was tired, I would remember. I was my own advocate, and that gave me back some control. After my 4th chemotherapy treatment, I got a fever. Now, if you know anything about cancer and chemotherapy, you know if you get a fever, you have to go to the hospital right away. If you don't, you can actually die. Your body needs help fighting off that infection. So I called my friends, Brian and Kevin, and I asked them to take me to the hospital. Before we left, I made sure I had everything: my overnight bag, a pillow, blanket, and a camera and tripod, because let's not forget, we were making a documentary. When we got to the hospital, I was so weak that I couldn't walk without my legs buckling from underneath me. In fact, my friend actually had to help me walk down the hallway, and I had sores in my throat and in my mouth from the chemotherapy, so it was painful to speak. But as low as I was still thinking about this story I wanted to tell, my story. As I lay there waiting to be admitted to the hospital, I signaled for my friends to look at me, and then I did this. And they looked at each other very confused. "Do you know what she wants?" "I think she wants you to film her." I did. Because what I was hoping was this would be as low as I was going to get, and this would be amazing footage to have for when I survived. I was still thinking about the story I wanted to tell, even at that moment when I was feeling that sick. Now, I stayed a few days in the hospital. I had my first blood transfusions, and during that time, I have to tell you that for the first time, I realized I may not make it. And so I decided to tell the camera exactly how I felt, just in case something happened. I was trying to control my story up until the very end.
I thank God today for this, no matter what. I thanked him for having cancer, because I knew that was part of the plan, and I thanked him for if I go out of remission and if I die, because it's all part of a plan, and I know it's a lesson that obviously I need to learn, and I will learn great things from it.
But let's not forget, this was my magical year, and something extraordinary happened after this. About a week after I filmed that, my doctor wanted to scan my body to see how the chemotherapy was affecting the cancer. And I'll never forget sitting in his office when he told me that my scans showed no evidence of cancer in my body. I was cancer-free. And I found out that there is life after cancer. I went from losing everything into gaining everything back.
All right. Well, this is Joy, and we are on the last day of this whole process that we've been going through since what is it? What, it was like November. That was like the first surgery day. First surgery day, and this is the last surgery day here in September 25th.
Yep, on my birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joy.
I was told that it was my magical birthday, and I think it was, because I had an incredible year that I wouldn't give up for anything in the world. It was like a vacation with all my friends coming to visit me and getting all the love in the world that I never knew was out there for me.
My name is Joy, and I am a cancer survivor. I started this journey as a director. As a director, you want to control the scene. But I know that in life, you can't control every scene. We are all directing our lives at this very moment. We make decisions on what to do, what goals to aim for, what direction to take in life. There will always be things that are out of your control that will happen. But you can take back control even when it feels like you've lost everything. Sometimes the most difficult experiences in life can lead to the most beautiful moments of your life. The lights come down, the screen lights up, and your story appears. This is your life, your story, and as long as you breathe, you have control over how you write it.